Let's bring in MSNBC contributor Mike Barnicle and Democratic strategist and co-host of the Politics War Room podcast, James Carville. Good to have you both on board this morning. James, it's a different dynamic with Kamala Harris now running for the presidency. A lot of Dems are really happy. You can see the excitement. It seems like it's been infused into the campaign as well as among Democrats at her rallies. But can she convince, with the different challenges at play that we've heard about now in Elise's focus groups, can she convince swing voters while also fending off Trump lies and attacks from the right?
Well, that's kind of a tall order, but the short answer is I think she can. But I'd say this. This has been a real change in mood in the party and around the country. But we got to be a little careful. There's about 10% too much triumphalism going on. And, you know, it's going to be a very difficult race. It's going to be very close. And I understand that people are feeling a lot better and excited, but that excitement's got to be tempered with realism. And the realism is she has a tough campaign to run. And as you say, she's got several things she's got to accomplish at the same time. But having said that, there's been real growth in Vice President Harris. I mean, you can just see the difference. And she just looked so confident to me yesterday. That was I didn't put the sound on. I just left the video. And I liked what I saw, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, but
that James Carville is that Southern Louisiana Democrat that they love so much. He's about in his hundreds, early 100s. He should step down and get out of politics, get away, leave it to the younger people. We don't need the old people commentating on anything anymore. Who knows what the hell Kamala Harris looks like to him at his age and with the life he's lived and what he's been through. I don't know. The way he sounds to me and the terminology and the way he describes things bothers me. Always has, and it probably always will. But James Carville, he need to go. He's another one, need to get out of there. We don't need them kissing up to him for his damn opinion because it doesn't matter. Enough people don't really care about what he thinks. And the people who care shouldn't. They need to get him off that show and try to move their show forward. It's stuck in the sand.
Tell me about that realism. Tell me about the realism of the months to come. I mean, there's a short amount of time and a lot is going to happen.
You're right, and they're having to put a campaign together right away. I mean,
Exactly.
they were obviously thinking about this ahead of time, but they got to accomplish between now and the convention. They got to accomplish what most campaigns have 8 months to do. So I'm saying they can't do it, and people are excited about the party's feeling better about itself. You know, we have a woman. I want to take it a non-white woman, and people are genuinely and understandably excited about that. But we also got a locked-in and entrenched opponent who's got a large part of the country behind him who are going to pull out, and they don't care if it's true or.
What he was speaking about Kamala being non-white and a female on the ticket, what they mean is that's an advantage for the Democrats in a lot of ways because they've done so horribly politically. The only thing they can do is put up a minority and pray to God that because of the way she looks, they can't hurl some of the insults and it'll be looked at as racist as opposed to she just stupid. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to have to deal with now. Because she's black, the Democrats are going to pull out the race card, but they ain't willing to do nothing for black people. You know, that's the kind of party that we voting for. And every video, I'm less and less and less likely. And when I first started, I was pretty least likely. And now it's getting way worse. You got this guy here describing Kamala Harris like she's on some kind of auction block or something. Listen to the rest of this. And if it don't annoy you, it annoys me.
Unfair or anything else. And you got to be ready for that at every point. And all I'm saying to Democrats is enjoy yourself, feel good, but it's tough sledding ahead, and let's get together and get this thing done.
So, James, let's talk a little bit, though, about how the race has changed. And to your point, it's still going to be very, very close. What issues do you think Vice President Harris can now more effectively prosecute and communicate than?
And there they go with that bullshit. She ain't no prosecutor. She is not a prosecutor. She is a vice president. It's a whole different job. I don't care what she say about Trump. It's not in a court of law. She can talk tough like she did to those guys in the Senate, and that was a whole different set of circumstances. This is a presidential election, and I saw her excerpt from the CNN interview, just a little, just to let you guys in on a little bit of something, and it don't look good. She looks shook, and she is, and they are too. And they're trying to fool everybody into believing they know what's going on. They don't. They really doing this stuff one day at a time, and she's got bad advisors. Because the thing they're going to try to stand on is that she's non-white. And hopefully the Republicans will lay off of her for that, so they won't be looked at as too racist. And the Democrats are probably thinking they'll show their racism and scare the black men who went over to the Republicans back, some crazy stuff like that. They are both way out there. And Kamala Harris is only a better candidate because Joe Biden couldn't think for himself anymore. It wasn't going to go forward with him. He couldn't do public appearances. He couldn't meet with foreign leaders. Everybody knows.
President Biden. And do you think this changes the map at all? Because for President Biden, it seemed like it was really narrowing, and his only path would have been through that Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan trio.
Right.
He didn't have a path. Nobody is going to vote a brain dead person in as president. Nobody. I don't give a damn how much you like Joe Biden. His kids probably wouldn't even vote for him. He was losing it. You'd have to really not care about the country to vote for him. He barely made it through this last 3.5 years, and that's because he's got folks back there pulling the strings. And if Kamala Harris has been sitting with him every morning in those security briefings or whatever, and she didn't notice something was wrong with him, then something's wrong with her.
What it really brings is the idea of change. Okay, people wanted something different. 73% told us they wanted something different. As soon as they got something different, you had this real outpouring. I'm not surprised at that at all. And her biggest asset is just compare her to Trump, compare the youth, compare the energy. And I think that's going to work well for her going forward. I don't think people are behind her because of this policy proposal. I think they're behind her because they wanted something different. And
they are definitely not behind her because of her policies, because no one knows them. You don't even know them. No one knows them. So no, of course not. The only policies that we are sure that she has is the policies that we don't know about, but they do exist between the donors, the corporations, her millionaires. Because she act like Donald Trump the only one with millionaires. She got some too. We need to start talking about them.
She represents that. And I think that's what's driving this enthusiasm and this era of good feeling we have right now. And of course, the Trump people are going to paint her as more the same, some horrific urban coastal liberal. That's good.
Urban means black. For those of y'all, you know, this dude right here is letting you know what a really racist white person firsthand would think about her, and he's saying those things because no one told him that. So whatever you hear is coming from him, and it's just his way of letting them know she got a long road ahead of her, because he know damn well there's a whole lot of people like him in that other party, and she does have a long road ahead of her. She gonna pick another race to imitate next time. Watch, she gonna be like, ooh, that being black is rough.
They've already started. She's gonna take your plastic straws away. That was the Jason Miller, Sean Hannity initial attack. Protect those damn straws. They're coming with better than that.
Ridiculous.
Hey, James, you mentioned a somewhat important issue a couple of minutes ago, watching the video with the sound off yesterday. And your eye, your political eye, your campaign manager's eye, saw something that a few other people saw too. You saw a quiet confidence in the vice president that seemed not to be there 3 or 4 years ago. And it is there now for certain. Watching that video with the sound down will show you that. So where do you take this quietly confident vice president now? Where do you take her?
She's quietly confident because they're finally helping her. The Democratic Party is truly behind her. She's never had that before. She's a senator from California. She was Joe Biden's pick as a VP, and it was some argument in the background about that. But 3.5 years ago, who would have ever thought this would happen? Well, it happened. And now we're dealing with it. But come on.
What do you campaign on in those spots where you take her? Are there any surprise places you'd take her?
Well, first of all, her record in 2020 when she ran, she wouldn't talk about who she really was, which was she was ineffective.
That's a lie. See, he's trying to make us forget what she said. We remember her positions. There was no on reparations, no on reparations. Kamala Harris had positions that she don't want to bring up. She had economic ideas that she don't want to bring up because they conflict with the ones that she's standing on now. And she has to answer those questions. He knows it too. So he's trying to play like, Kamala didn't have nothing really going on. You know, she wasn't disclosing until, yes, she was. Because when you run for president, other than this is different. Nothing's ever happened like this before in our modern times. Who the hell knows what they was doing back before they let us out? But in modern times, this is unique. She didn't have the primary. The president didn't get assassinated. He was the Democratic nominee based on the primary process, and then all of a sudden, after a year or two of telling us he's fine, they turned around and said he ain't fine. So they lied to us, and she was in on that too. It's going to be a lot of things that are going to drag votes away from her. I can feel it in my bones.
Prosecutor, an effective attorney general, consumer advocate, and a senator. So she couldn't be herself because idiots in the Democratic Party decided you couldn't talk about being an effective prosecutor. That is no longer the case. But her big asset is she was a consumer advocate. She can go after these companies for price fixing and price.
Well, when did they start price fixing, James Carville? Just like at the process of the election, when she just got stepped up? I never heard Joe Biden say anything about that. Were these companies price gouging like for a few years, a few months, or did it just start last weekend? That isn't going to work. She's going to go after companies that probably are financing her campaign, or she says she's going to go after. But come on, how much sense does that make? If you knew about this price gouging, now you're about to, they probably told her to think of a scenario that you can insert yourself into and talk about at length during the election. And then as soon as the election's over, Kamala, drop it. But it'll make the people feel that you're the prosecutor that they need you to be. We don't. We've been prosecuted enough in our life. Black people don't like prosecutors. Y'all better get that part straight. Quit telling that lady to brag about the prosecutor thing and then think black people are going to be nuzzling up to her. It don't work. Prosecutors have done too much to us, too much wrong. It's too many people have gone to prison and never got out who shouldn't have been there in the first place. And one is too many. So, no. The prosecutor thing ain't going to keep playing well with black people. It plays well with you guys because you guys like seeing black people locked up. But we are a leg of the Democratic Party, and you guys need to start addressing some needs and some concerns and things that make us feel warm and comfortable like you guys are feeling.
Gouging. And that's what I hope she goes around the country and does events like that to say, I'm on the side of the consumer. I know these companies are talking to each other. I know they're fixing prices to take advantage of you.
Did she just learn this?
Consumer, and I'm going to fight for you. I would love to see that. I'd love to see her be the people's lawyer as president.
Hey, James.
That's to distract us. While they over there contributing to genocides and over there pouring our money down into Putin's war, what are we doing? Sitting here rubbing our hands together because she's saving us a few dollars on our grocery bill because of price gouging. Because of price gouging is what she's saying. Or she called it price gauging. But you guys think you're going to distract us from the world events, from black people and their reparations fight, from the illegal immigrant situation we got going on? Because we need a prosecutor to knock a few pennies off our grocery bill. Nah, she better figure out another way to do that. I remember the last presidency and they didn't go after price gougers and the bills weren't this high.
I'm thinking about defense here too for her, what she's going to get attacked on, and how you'd handle that. Some of those attacks. If you put aside the questions of, just put the racist and sexist attacks aside, and just go straight to the ones where she has one obvious vulnerability, which is about the border.
Obviously, they can't hide from that one. I think that's going to be the one to sink her too. She might be able to slick talk her way out of a lot of stuff, but I mean, you're giving an interview and illegal immigrants are running behind you, photobombing you. It's not going to play well. Not at all.
She's seen as Biden's border czar. That's not been an issue. Immigration that's been helpful to Democrats in this cycle. So,
and she really was the border czar. That's what she really was. That's the title, because she ain't the first border czar. When they put people over the border, that's what they call them, the border czar. And as the border czar, remember Trump had his VP doing it. I guess that's where Biden got the idea. Pence, he was the border czar. And basically shut it down. I mean, the best it could be, and the wall and all that. I don't know about all that part, but I know we didn't have the flow of immigrants. And I think it's kind of funny now that even the Democrats are referring to her as the border czar, and she don't like that name. It's like, no, don't call me that. I was down there to see the cause of the influx of immigrants.
So what do you do about that? And then number two, something that they're going after right now that there's some sign that it actually cuts, at least for now, with voters, which is she was in on some cover-up over Joe Biden's health.
Some cover-up over Joe Biden's health. No, his mental decline was severe and it was fast. And it started before he was even elected president. People were seeing signs of it. They were doing a pretty good job at hiding him, and he was basically doing like old people when they decline, repeating himself a lot. So a lot of the stuff he said sounded clear and like his mind was on point. You can see I'm getting old too. But I mean, he stumbles and stutters, and then you start going, wait a minute, and then Kamala's right there. Well, no. And she claimed she was meeting every morning with him on those defense briefings. She didn't notice, sometime he'd be asleep, or, hey, Joe, did you hear that they called you? Or he'd get up and walk out the other door. Yeah, I'm just saying, she's got a lot of explaining to do on that front. You are his vice president. You should have been close to him. He was the one who called you before he made major decisions. That's what you guys told us. And I want to know what kind of conversations you guys were having and how you missed that up until 1 month you're saying he's fine, and the next month you're running for president. Imagine that.
And that they're going to make that argument. I'm not crediting it. I'm just saying it's out there already, and there's some sign that some swing voters are open to it. So talk about those two areas she needs to defend.
The first one, the second one, she starts to have to defend and discuss, and there are plenty good answers, and I'm sure she has them. In terms of the board.
Plenty good answers that she could have. There's plenty lies you can come up with that sound good. That's all he give a damn about. They just want to win. Do any of you guys feel like I do? I need some comments. I need some feedback on this if we can get it. Do any of you guys feel like I feel? Your whole life you've been told or sold a lie. Because I'm finding out that both parties are just as rotten as the other. And if your parents are the ones that taught you about the Democratic Party, or that's what they were their whole life or adult life, or because our parents probably weren't even voting until probably into their 20s because of the way things were in their 50s and 60s. Well, my parents anyway. If your parents were really, young in the early 60s and 50s, then no, they weren't voting in the United States. And then in 64, it was such a big deal for black people. They got so excited that they just ran to the Democratic Party because that's the party that made that possible. But they also used it to get those black votes like they're trying to do with the immigration thing here. They're trying to get those votes. Is that how you roll? You just bring in a bunch of poor people and don't do nothing for them, and you want them to vote for you. That don't seem like a fair trade-off.
You know, you could point the truth out. It's not going to do you any good. She was never border czar. She was put in charge of trying to coordinate diplomatic activity.
See, he is a Democratic operative. Did you hear him? He corrected that. She is not the border czar. That's what I was talking about.
From countries that a lot of these migrants were coming from. But she's got a couple hours in the quiver. First of all, that they walked away from a deal that was negotiated by conservative Republicans that had the endorsement of all of the border agencies, and they walked away from it because they didn't want a solution. The second thing that she can point.
Did you hear what James Carville just said? All the Republicans lined up and they made an agreement, and the Democrats walked away from it because they didn't want to solve the problem. He just said that.
To rather legitimately is border crossings are down. Are we going to win that issue? No, we're not going to win it, but we can do a lot better. And the issue, I think, to some extent, will run out of steam with them if she gives some effective, cogent answers. And that's going to be important. And you're right to say that.
He's telling her to lie better. That's all he's saying. He's not saying nothing about the truth. He's saying answers. He don't give a damn whether they truth or not. He's just trying to make her answers sound good to who? Us. See how they don't give a damn about us. He all up in it though. He got the talking points. He know what they thinking because they be calling him for advice probably. This is ridiculous. He's probably part of the, you need to get that non-white girl up there. She probably can do real good for us. This just makes you mad. They're thinking 2024 is what we got to deal with. It's embarrassing and it's painful. It's painful to watch.
Her defensive. It's like the NBA. Your defensive game is just as important as the offensive game.
Well, and the defense on that is really simple. They had a deal. Team Biden-Harris gave the Republicans the best deal they could have gotten. They had it. They were in concert with James Lankford, a conservative Republican senator who helped.
Now, she's in the process of flipping because James Carville made a mistake. He said the Democrats walked away, and nobody corrected him. That's what he said. That's what I heard, because that's what I thought. And now she's saying what he said the right way. so don't nobody get in trouble. Wee! James Carville, old ass. He slipped.
Write it, and they killed it for Donald Trump. So she can put that right back on them. That is on them. They could have had.
For Donald Trump to be outside of the presidency and to have that kind of power would be a huge thing. That's why he's polling so close to him. If those senators and that Congress is still listening to him that much to where it's affecting their votes, according to the Democrats, they're saying this. I don't know if it's true or not, but if it is true, that man has more power than Biden has, and he ain't even the president. And that's why he's polling the way he is, and that's why they need to go ahead and clean out that bedroom and get it ready for him, because it don't look like this is going to work.
Everything they wanted and more. And they decided against it for gross politics, for Donald Trump. They bowed to somebody who wasn't even in office.
But she forgot that when he left office, the border wasn't wide open and 10 million immigrants weren't running through the door. So who opened the door is where we should start this. And why make a plan that you're going to walk away from when you left the door open? You shouldn't have left the door open. And you could have went to Trump and tried to make this deal with his senators or however the hell you keep bringing Trump's name up. And if he said no or told his people to vote no on it, the door is still closed. Why did that door have to open in order for you guys to prove a point? Were you guys trying to make the influx of immigrants put pressure on the Republicans to vote your way because it was a bad idea and it didn't work? I don't know. I look at it like, to secure the border, you don't need to sign legislation. That's something that we should do every day. Now, for long-term plans to get some of those people into this country legally, Yeah, you got to make a deal. You got to work it out between you and legislate that. But you can't threaten your other party by, if you don't vote my way, I'm going to open the door up. You can't do that. So from where I sit, a lifelong Democrat, it looks like the Democrats were in the wrong because they were in power. They allowed immigrants in. They didn't keep us safe. And if the only thing that keeps us safe is if the Republicans vote with them, then we're not safe. Our national security is at risk, and you guys are willing to jeopardize it. What if we find out in 3 years that some of the people that came through those borders and the way they came through the border weren't from Mexico or Venezuela or any of those southern South American countries? What if they're really from overseas somewhere and they wanted to get in the country and kick it a couple of years while they devise a plan to damage something? I mean, what if something like that happens? And because you guys are playing politics with the Republicans because they wouldn't vote with you, so you leave the door open?
So she's got a lot to speak for on different issues. I think a lot of it is personal attacks. A lot of it is weird memes that they're making up. It seems to me the Republicans are looking for their opening with Kamala Harris, but they're going to run into situations where they look racist.
That's it. She said it. They're going to run into situations where they're going to look racist. That's why you guys picked her. Because you wanted somebody who could deflect some of this garbage that has been going on for the last 3.5 years by using, oh, she's just saying that because she's non-white or black or whatever you want to call her. And you're just saying that because she's a woman. And come on now. That isn't going to work. It isn't going to work at all. It's a horrible strategy. Who thought of it? You guys will use black people no matter what. Even when you ain't really using a real black person, we still involved. Because you're trying to pull us in and surround us around this person that you guys had created for us. Well, we don't want it. We're going to bring it back and get our money. We don't want it.
Misogynistic, and they're going to have to be really careful, which is something I think they're not good at doing. Democratic strategist James Carville, it's nice to hear you laugh early in the morning. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, trust me, they're going to do sexist and racist things. I promise you, you're not going to be excited at all. Just get that going.
He's warning you because he knows some of them dudes. And if you look behind his backdrop, ain't nothing but a bunch of whiskey bottles. This is the first time I've ever heard him talk when he ain't all nervous acting and jumpy. Because he usually comes into the studio and he's weird acting. But I'm looking at him here and he's about as relaxed as I ever seen him. He's probably got some old crow or something be poured down his neck with his coffee. But come on, guys. This is crazy. That MSNBC, is that who? I thought it was CNN. God damn it. I mean, it's like they're not even the press anymore. They come in and the guy they're interviewing makes a mistake a few times in his drunk ass interview. And what do? They fix it for him. They reword it back. You're not supposed to do that. James Carville said what James Carville said. On live TV, she fixed it for him. Hey, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I tell you what, you guys, put your seatbelt on. We're in for a ride. This is going to be a good political season, and I'm looking forward to it. See you on the next one.